that watching people meditate is very useful because as we observe, we learn to notice things. We start noticing things just by watching, sensing. So I think that I started watching people sitting back in the day when I was in the monastery because of Terayama Sensei's teachings. As I've often spoken of his influence on the whole energy reading and bumi reading that we now do in Pemako, that's how it all started for me, because he was a master of Zen calligraphy. I have some calligraphies. I can't really show you with the camera now, but I have some calligraphies on the walls at home now. So the basic idea in his teaching was that when there's a yogi or yogini who has some level of realization or full realization, and that kind of person makes an art piece, whether it's black ink painting or anything written, sculpture made of wood or metal, or any art piece, that art piece stores the energy, the mind state, the realized state of that person. So that's how it started for me, that I remember, in the Zen monastery, you get a lot of opportunities to see people sit. I won't explain how the whole monastic daily schedule works, but you get a lot of opportunities to do that, watch people sit and meditate. And that's when I started doing it. And then after my Zen years, when YouTube started, I think YouTube was started like 2006 or something, and I started using it like 2007ish maybe, and started the YouTube channel maybe 2009. So ever since then I've collected videos. There are the playlists where there's a number of people meditating or just silently watching the camera. There's this really fantastic clip there, which I think is one of the most valuable clips in the history of mankind. Because there was, I forget the name of the French filmmaker, but back in the early 60s, a French filmmaker went to India just when all the Tibetans had fled Tibet, and he filmed them doing stuff. And one of the things, among others, he filmed was them being one by one just silent in front of the camera. And there you have there's Dudjom Rinpoche, there's Kangyur Rinpoche, these really big figures. And even if it's just a few seconds, it's something else. So I've sometimes said that, in the Pemako Sangha, because we film these clips, and I've done over 70 videos of my progress in YouTube by now, we are not actually the first ones to do it. So there was this French guy who did it in the 60s, but nobody has done it since. So we kind of do it systematically. But in my teaching career, I started demonstrating different meditation states and then basic awareness several years ago, when I started to get hang of basic awareness, right? And before that, I would be demonstrating like shamatha practices, like shamatha with support, shamatha without support. I would show people how I do it, so they would get a not only verbal instructions, but also like in some sense with their bodies and senses and energy, that how it is. I often often think about this, because I still do join some Dharma lectures and courses given by different teachers every now and then. It's interesting. But I often think about this, that why don't teachers demonstrate the actual thing? It would help a lot. Did it help you when I sat there just a few minutes? I felt you watching, I felt your energy so clearly. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I couldn't feel what you were doing. It was
What?
I couldn't feel what you were doing. Like I felt you, it was like wonderful, but I didn't feel anything but yeah, like meditating on you. Like it wasn't was I supposed to experience something? Because I had the impression you were putting your focus in the lower, so I was like waiting for some sort of groundedness, especially feeling. Or did I miss? Maybe I didn't hear what you tried to explain.
No, I don't think you missed anything.
No, it felt good. Yeah. I come to think about, you showed a video or a person, I think it was a Zen teacher that was very into this samadhis, and you would get these absorptions. Like I remember it was very clearly from that.
You mean that you would get absorptions?
And kind no, but I could feel he had like this thing. I just remember you had like if it was a video or a picture. So like just as a comparison, because it gave like this. It's easier when you can compare, basically. And I remember, okay, that's absorption, like because I haven't done it myself, at least not intentionally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was good, really good. I feel.
Maxim, your microphone is really low. Still, it's very low. There must be something wrong. It's so low.
How it's now?
No, it's not very loud.
Good. I can make it well. Sorry, I guess it's okay now. A question about this transmission kind of thing. I remember when during Lama Lisa's retreat, I had she explained that in Dzogchen lineages they use kind of this method of experiencing natural state. It's like a student experiences a glimpse of natural state being transmitted by a teacher, and then kind of in his own practice returns to his kind of memory, experiential memory, and this way experience it again and again. I mean, this glimpse. And back to then, I also, I remember I shared it. I had this kind of glimpse with Lama Lisa explanations.
Yeah.
And to try to return into it. But after some time, it kind of became blurry and I forgot about it.
Yes.
And during this retreat, when you gave the pointer about remember yourself from the past and remember your experience of the awareness of being present, it also clicked in my head, and I had the same kind of cessation. So I could later I could remember this thing, and again it makes recognition more clear when I'm remembering it. So the question is how this technique of remembering these glimpses is used in Pemeko style of practice, and is it any of use at all? I never heard talking about it.
Yes, remembering. Yeah, I used to do it. To me personally, I have tried and tested properly so many different teachings that to come up with the conclusions and to teach the practices that I teach. So I've done and tried a lot of things over the years, and one of the things was remembering like that. It is very common, like whether it's like a transmission that we have received, remembering that, or trying to feel it again, or it might be like a sentence or a couple of sentences from some text or poem. That is also used quite widely. Like in Rinzai Zen Buddhism, they use these poems, different, well, they of course use koans, these riddle-like things that, but also like parts of poems, parts of pointing out instructions. There are really good pointing out instructions, especially by ancient Chinese Zen masters. Just beautiful texts, so straight, so direct, diamond clear, really nice. I haven't checked those in years. I have reminding myself to look at those. But I remember at one point, like my own experience with that, remembering. It was maybe like 12, 13 years ago. This was long before I had like really experienced basic state, or had Mahasiddha Bhumis open. This was long before that. Actually, long before my first Bhumi opening. So I remember reading a book by Chokni Rinpoche. Chokni Rinpoche is the second youngest son of Tulku Urgyen. And he had a book, maybe, it wasn't Fearless Simplicity, but I think the previous one. Anyway, one of his books. And he was talking about undistracted non-meditation. And it was a short poem. Like, it wasn't really a poem, it was just a piece, like a fourth of a page from his book. And when I read those lines, it was like, ooh, like yes, that's it. And then I copied that quote and used it again and again, many times. And there was another one, something, his quote about compassion. I completely forgot what it was. It was something like go outside and sit in nature and just sit there. And just feel the aliveness of life around you, sitting in the garden or something. And that also, ding, went. And I used that quote as a way to recognize the basic state. Sure, all these things can be used. I don't remember, like there are a couple of texts that I have given reading transmissions, like empowerments for texts, but it has been a while since I've done that. But even like without reading empowerment, reading texts from Longchenpa, for example, or any of the Dzogchen masters really, or Mahamudra masters, Gampopa has just superb texts. So this can be used. If myself just demonstrating basic state to you, a couple of minutes, if that works for you as a reminder, go for it. Use anything.
Thank you for the explanation. But this exact kind of click moment, aha moment, it happened just 2 times during the whole period of my practice. I'm wondering how it's like this, but I understand what you're talking about. Long Chenpa's text, for instance, like you're reading them and it becomes clearer. But this moment of, I guess it could be called cessation, when samsaric mind disappears for a second, it's like poof, perfectly clear. It happened just 2 times with this retreat and Lama Lisa's one.
Yeah.
Wondering why it's like this.
All Dharma is actually really simple. There are many things in Dharma, in training systems, including ours, that kind of make it seem complex and kind of scary and kind of not interesting. And there's a good reason for that, that there are, really detailed explanations and really detailed methods. But it's all so simple actually. It's all what we're doing here is to, to take a moment again and again, take a moment, take a breather, get a moment away from samsaric mind. So recognize the selfless and then look back into the samsaric mind. That's all. And what comes to Tantra, Tantra is energy work. So we're working with this energy here. And then also the pillars below and above. And that's all it is. The whole path is working with that. Cessations. Cessations are, of course, we can have very short cessations and have bhumi events. Like early on in the path, let's say like the whole arc of bhumi openings. And then when we start having perfections, then gradually they start getting longer. And maybe like roughly around the perfection of 6th, they start to be long enough that you might spend like half a day or 12 hours, like 6 hours, 12 hours in cessation. And then you get an opportunity to really, see how it is, how is life with the eyes of a Buddha. Do you have any idea how long those sessions have been, Maxim? What would you estimate?
I think the first one was maybe an hour, and this one maybe even shorter, like half an hour, maybe. You know, it's like sorry.
Yeah, that's also very significant.
I just have this ongoing identification. I think it's what you called guard up, like this constant anxiety on the background, and it's kind of keeps pulling mind in self mode. It's like one like constant selfish magnetism. And these moments of cessation are easily recognizable because it starts doing it for some time.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Your mic, what was that? Okay.
I said starts, but it stops actually.
Stops, yeah. How long have you been practicing, Max?
It would be 4 years since the awakening in January.
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Yeah. Just stick with it, Maxim. I'm really glad, like I've told you, that was it last year or the year previous year when you took a break from practice? So
last year, yeah.
So I don't need to tell you you already know how to, make practice and path your own. So you're taking things much easier now, and that's excellent. So just work with it. But have confidence, have faith in the fact that others like you, others like us, have tread before us and sorted out exactly the same kind of problems that you have, I had, others here have. Have faith in that. Folks, let's take a break for 10 minutes. 10 minutes.